My assignment, to intercept and deliver the secrets of Honda's successful customer service. My client, a certain unscrupulous motorcycle dealer known as Mr. X. Cold cash is my only motive. At first I thought I was getting the best end of the deal, but now I'm a little unsure about what I'm walking into.
You're late. I hope you brought me something worth waiting for.
Hey, don't sweat it. I've got it right here. You will find it very interesting.
It better be. I'm paying you enough.
That's your opinion. I guess you're entitled to it. I'm sure you'll soon realize you're getting the best end of the deal. I started my investigation by being a bit of a voyeur. Now, this photograph was taken on Imperial Highway a couple of miles from the dealership. I managed to record the conversation.
I don't know what happened. It just started jerking and sputtering and then it died.
Well, there's a dealership right up the road. You want to take it there?
This couple had a Doberman in their yard, but I did manage to get this shot before I had to leave.
Honey, there's a notice in there about the Sabre. The dealer says it's time for a tune-up. Do you have time to do it, or should we let them?
I went out on a limb to get this one.
This new Nighthawk sure looks great. Let's get it.
Sounds good to me. We got the 550 at Anytown Honda. Think we should go there again?
People always seem to forget about skylights. Or so I thought.
Oh, that's all real cute, honey, but what's the point, huh?
The point is how these customers respond when they're asked, should we take it to the dealer?
What'd they say?
I'm about to get to that. Take a look at this. The Honda Service Advisor. Whether you realize it or not, service advisors play a big part in establishing a positive image for the dealership. And they may determine if customers say, yeah, take it to the dealer. Or, the dealer? Are you nuts?
So, what's so great about this service advisor?
The overall scope of his responsibilities, for one thing.
Explain yourself.
Righto. A service advisor has three major responsibilities. First, he's the dealership's representative to the customer. Most of the time, he's the only person a service customer ever talks with. So, in a very real sense, he is the dealership, at least from the customer's point of view. Secondly, he's the customer's representative to the dealership. Technicians and parts people rarely get to talk directly with service customers, so the service advisor has to understand what the customer's needs are so they can be communicated.
Sounds like the buck starts and stops with a service advisor.
Absolutely. Finally, the service advisor acts as the coordinator of customer service and maintenance activities. He's the one who makes sure everything gets done and gets done correctly so the customer is totally satisfied. You got that, or should I go over it again?
Oh, sure, we got it. It's easy. The service advisor's got three major responsibilities. First, he represents the dealership to the customer. Then he represents the customer to the dealership. And finally, he acts as a coordinator of customer service and maintenance. Right?
Right. But even though it's easy to remember the responsibilities, fulfilling them takes some real smarts. The service advisor is thrown right into the middle of the action.
Sounds exciting.
He's involved in everything that goes on in the dealership.
Everything? Be a little more specific.
No problem. Just yesterday, I decided to get a first-hand look at the dealership. I disguised myself as a janitor and was able to pick up lots of information by being around. I noticed the service advisor uses an appointment system which schedules up to 70% of the service work in advance. The other time is used for carryover work and drop-ins. He also greets customers in a friendly way and fills out a repair order for each service job. He controls the flow of work to the service department so technicians can do their best work within the agreed-upon times. And he periodically checks work progress to make sure it's right on schedule. When the job's complete, he makes sure a quality control report has been filled out on the bike or ATV and it's been road tested. And that's not all. The service advisor makes sure all paperwork is complete so invoicing can be done properly, accurately, and quickly. He also delivers each repaired vehicle to the customer and explains what's on the invoice. And if the customer has any questions, he answers them accurately. One thing that really impressed me was the service advisor's job doesn't end with the delivery. It's his responsibility to make sure the necessary information is available so telephone follow-up can be done.
Oh, it sounds like the service advisor's quite a guy.
Sure is. And to help you get a better handle on all the responsibilities, here's a list.
Let me see that. You got this guy doing a lot. What if you don't have enough people to have a service advisor?
Then the job's to be delegated to guys who can get it done. That's what's important, doing these things. You see, it's all part of a customer service system Honda uses, a system which organizes things and helps everyone stay on top of their responsibilities.
System? What kind of system?
Well, it's called the 8 steps of the customer service transaction. It helps define what everyone in the service area is supposed to do. And the service advisor coordinates it all to make sure everything ends up with a happy customer.
Appointment, reception, dispatching, work performance, quality control, invoicing, delivery, and follow-up.
You trying to tell me these 8 steps will lead to happy customers?
If followed, they give you a good shot at it. Don't you have a customer satisfaction system?
More like customer dissatisfaction. Works real good, you see. X says...
X says that's enough, baby. I paid him to tell me stuff. So tell me, these 8 steps mean everything goes perfect, right?
No, not at all. Problems will always arise. The key is to handle the problems quickly and fairly. The system helps make this happen. After all, customers don't expect perfection. They just want fairness.
Okay, so get on with it. What's this service advisor do in these 8 steps?
I can give you some details on the first 2 steps, but just keep in mind that someone in the service department has to make sure each of the 8 steps gets carried out. Step 1 is appointments. Establishing a time when a customer can bring a motorcycle or ATV into the service department works out great for everyone. By making advanced appointments, the service advisor can spread arrivals evenly throughout the day. This helps prevent early morning or evening customer congestion. It also makes it easier to give each customer personalized attention. Appointments also make it possible to prepare for the customer's visit. Service files can be reviewed. Checking service histories helps service advisors avoid selling a customer 4 oil changes in a row.
Oh, so you've been to our dealership, have you?
Customers like the personalized service that comes with a scheduled appointment. And they appreciate having the trip to the dealership fit into their busy schedules.
Just what does it take to, set up an appointment system?
Well, that's pretty easy. The only things needed are a telephone and the appointment dispatch forms produced by Honda. I got a hold of some support materials that explain how to fill out these forms. I'll get into the details a little later. I did some research and found the first thing to do when setting up an appointment system is to take a close look at the nature of your business. And you have to ask yourself, is there a heavy drop-in trade? Are there seasonal peaks and valleys? Are any days consistently busier than others? Being aware of business patterns helps you decide what days and times are best for bringing in service business.
So, what's the best time to schedule appointments?
A lot of dealerships have found that between 5 and 7 p.m. works great. Customers like coming in after work, and technicians like working on cold engines. Everybody benefits. After you have a good feel for your business pattern, you need to figure out how many hours of work to set up through appointments each day. A lot of dealerships find it works best to schedule enough appointments to fill about 60 to 75% of the total daily service time available. The other 25 to 40% is left for drop-in business and work that has to be held over for an additional day.
Sounds like some mathematics are necessary to figure out these percentages.
Oh, now don't you worry about a thing, X. I'm sure they have special formulas in their support material.
Sure do, and besides, they're simple. To figure out appointment hours, first determine the total service hours available. Multiply the number of technicians scheduled to work on a particular day by the number of hours in their shifts.
Hold on. Put this in the real world for me.
Sure, let me give you an example. If the service department has 5 technicians scheduled for 8-hour shifts, you'd multiply 5 times 8.
That means, a total of 40 service hours available for the day.
Very, very good, X.
Once you know how many service hours are available, you figure out how many of them you can fill with work brought in through advanced appointments. If you've been using an appointment system, schedule 60 to 75% of your hours by appointment. If just starting, use 25% for a couple of weeks, then go to 50. When it's working smoothly, try a higher percentage. For example, let's say, based on your business pattern, you know your service area runs best if you schedule 70% of the work to come in through appointments. You also know you have 40 total service hours available. So, you multiply 40 by 70%. This tells you should schedule 28 hours worth of work to come in through appointments. I took the liberty of borrowing a set of their forms. As you can see, the percentage of appointment hours can be adjusted on a daily basis to allow for any particular fluctuation in the dealership's business pattern. For instance, if drop-in business is always heavy on Friday, you can lower the percentage figure and schedule fewer appointments. If Thursdays are usually light, then increase the percentage and schedule more work to arrive through appointments. Using the appointment system in a flexible manner helps even out the usual peaks and valleys of the service area. As a result, technicians aren't overloaded with work, the job goes smoother, and the customers have a better chance of being satisfied with the level of service. Now that I've given you some details on appointments, let me get into the second step of the customer service transaction.
That would be reception, right?
Right. But by the time I began studying reception, they were getting suspicious of me being around, so I had to stand back for a while. But even from a distance, I could tell what was going on.
Come on, what's there to study? The customer drops off the bike. Tells you it's broke. That's it, right?
Actually, there's much more to it. You see, reception is the chance to build on the positive impression you made while setting up the appointment. When a customer brings in a bike or ATV, the service advisor listens carefully as the customer explains what's wrong. He should then ask questions so he can understand exactly what the problem is. This will help him make an accurate diagnosis. If the customer isn't really sure what the problem is, the service advisor should take the vehicle for a test ride. If he's still unable to make a diagnosis, he's to ask the service manager or a technician to take a look. If a diagnosis still can't be made, diagnostic time is to be sold, but not until the customer knows what he or she is buying. And once they've agreed on what's wrong or on the need for diagnostic time, the service advisor should refer back to the service files.
Remember, X, we talked about them back at the appointment step.
Yeah. What's all that do?
Most of the customers were impressed. It shows the service advisor is really thorough. Plus, it avoids any duplication of warranty work. With new customers, the service advisor sets up a file then and there.
The service advisor could sell extra services here as well.
Right. Once he's done with the files, he gives the vehicle a visual inspection, checks the drive, looks for leaks, listens to the exhaust, and examines all the safety equipment. Any additional needed work is discussed with the customer. They appreciate this. It saves them the hassle of making another trip in the near future. Once they've agreed on the work to be done, he fills out an RO and a key tag.
What's that involve?
The support material gives you everything, but just to fill you in, the service advisor makes sure he gets the proper year, model number, phone number, purchase date, mileage figure, and frame number. After he gets this info from the customer, he then estimates how many labor hours are needed by checking the flat rate manual or the quick reference guide. When describing this work on the repair order, he writes clearly and to the point. This makes it easy for the technicians to do their best work without having to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what needs to be done. Next, he estimates the cost by multiplying the shop rate times the estimated hours and adding in the cost of any parts. If there's a special service promo, he checks on that price. Next, he tells the customer what the figure is and asks if it'll be paid by cash, check, or plastic. He notes the payment method on his copy of the RO. Finally, he asks the customer when the vehicle will be picked up and makes sure he writes the time on the RO. Once he's gotten all the information, he has the customer authorize the work by signing the repair order and gives the customer a copy.
This all sounds well and good, but you and I, both of us, know customers are nasty. This ain't no way to handle the complainers.
I had a feeling you'd react this way. I recorded something I think you'd like to hear.
I was in here 2 weeks ago for a major tune-up on my 750. I took it out yesterday. The thing's a pig. You know, idle in it, stumbles on acceleration. Plus the brakes you told me I needed squeal like a wounded dog. What did you guys do?
Yeah, now you see what I mean? They're nasty. That kind of attitude is too familiar to me. How do they handle an attack like that?
They do it effectively, very effectively. They start by remembering a few key thoughts. First, the attack isn't personal. There's no need to get defensive and begin arguing with a customer. Next, he has to keep in mind the customer is frustrated and just wants the problem solved. After all, if you'd spent over $100 to get your bike fixed, wouldn't you be upset if it still wasn't running?
Upset? Oh, are you kidding me? I'd be furious.
Exactly. That's why, as service advisor, it's so important to realize that you and the customer want the same thing, the motorcycle repaired. I used my micro camera to take some shots of a slideshow one of the service advisors was watching. Did you bring that light box?
Oh, yeah, sure. It's all set to go.
The show was on the subject of dealing with an angry customer. Successful service advisors do 5 things to work things out effectively. First of all, the service advisor listens carefully. He gives the customer time to explain what's wrong, and he doesn't interrupt during the explanation. This allows customers to vent their frustrations and gives the service advisor an opportunity to see things from their point of view. Next, he makes sure he really understands the complaint. If he needs clarification, he asks questions, and he describes the problem back to the customer and makes sure the customer's description matches his own. By really understanding the problem, he can keep the discussion on the subject that really matters, the bike, and he can get the facts he needs to define the problem. He then decides if the complaint is valid. If it isn't, he tactfully explains why, and when giving the explanation, he deals with facts and not personal opinion. If the complaint is valid, he settles it immediately and arranges to have a technician look at the bike right away. He then asks the customer when it's convenient to pick up the bike. In dealing with a dissatisfied customer, the service advisor exhausts all the resources available to settle the complaint. When a complaint can't be settled, the service advisor takes it to someone who has the authority to deal with it. He fully explains the problem and possible solution to that person, and he does it in front of the customer.
Wow, I can see how those steps allow the service advisor to get past the customer's initial frustration and really get to the heart of the matter.
Let's hear 'em again.
The service advisor listens carefully, understands the complaint fully, decides if the complaint is valid, exhausts available resources, and if necessary, goes to a person in authority.
That's exactly right. You're really catching on to this.
Only because you have very clearly and logically explained that effective customer reception coupled with prearranged appointments is the only way to let the customer know they're dealing with a motorcycle service professional. A pro who's dedicated to doing the job right.
Right again. He's a pro because he knows the job and he's determined to do it to the best of his abilities.
Oh, that's obvious. The thing that struck me was that he realizes that dealing with customers isn't a hit-and-miss thing. It's a process.
An 8-step process, I might add, which needs to be handled in a professional and organized manner. It's the only way he can satisfy customers consistently.
Let's see. You told us about the appointment system, how it fits the peaks and valleys of the business and evens out the workflow. And you just finished talking about reception, how it lets the customers know their business is valued and that the service advisor really wants to take care of their problems. But you haven't said anything about the last 6 steps: dispatching, work performance, quality control, invoicing, delivery, and follow-up.
So, what about the last 6 steps?
Well, I don't have them at the moment, but if you'll give me a chance to explain.
Sure, I'll give you a chance to explain. You can start talking right now, or you can hold your peace. forever hold your peace. You know what I mean?
It's like this. I knew they were getting suspicious of me, so I had to hold off with the final 6 steps.
Why, you stupid idiot! They aren't suspicious. They're right on top of us.
No, it can't be them. I covered my tracks. See what I mean? They can't track me. They only have an idea of the general area I'm operating in.
I want the rest of the information. And I want it right away, before it's too late.
Don't worry. You'll get it. But don't call me. I'll call you.